Ecuador are unbeaten in the last 18 international matches, only 5 goals conceded in qualifying. Ecuador holds the best defensive record, finishing second ahead of Brazil, Uruguay and Colombia. Brazil couldn't find a way past them. Argentina couldn't defeat them. This Ecuador team isn't just solid, they are suffocating their opponents. They have Champions League finalists at the back, arguably the best defensive midfielder in the Premier League, yet nobody is talking about it. Heading into the World Cup, literally might just be the hardest team to beat, which begs the question, how far can Ecuador go? Here's the thing about Ecuador. For most of their football history, they were the underdogs, the overlooked nation in a continent dominated by Argentina and Brazil. For decades, they tried but failed, until finally, they qualified for a World Cup in 2002, but went out in the group stage. 2006 was better. They beat Poland 2-0, crushed Costa Rica 3-0, and reached the round of 16 for the first time in their history. That team had a proper South American energy, fearless, fast, and aggressive. Yeah, England knocked them out with a David Beckham free kick, but the football world began to pay attention. The years that followed were a mixed bag. They missed out on 2010 and 2018, and the 2014 campaign ended in the group stage. But here's what those years actually were. They were years of construction. And slowly, the talent started to surface. Players began making the move to Europe, not just to exist, but to thrive. In Qatar 2022, they made waves. Ecuador opened the tournament by beating the host 2-0. Enner Valencia scored both goals. They drew against the Netherlands, looked dangerous, looked like they belonged, and then they lost to Senegal by the smallest margin and went home. But here's what that tournament revealed. Ecuador had the pieces, they had the talent, they just needed someone to put it all together. Enter Sebastian Becachese. In August 2024, after a disappointing Copa America exit on penalties against Argentina, Ecuador made a change. Becachese came in with a simple philosophy: defense first, discipline always, and if you can't break us down, you can't beat us. Obviously, the results were immediate. Under Becachese, Ecuador's qualifying campaign became a masterclass in defensive discipline. They went on an 11-match unbeaten run. Clean sheet after clean sheet. They made Brazil look ordinary. They made Argentina work for every centimeter. But the most impressive result came in September 2025. Ecuador versus Argentina. The reigning world champions visited. Ecuador won 1-0. They didn't just survive, they shut down every passing lane, turned the world champions into a frustrated, toothless team. That night, everyone watching understood something had shifted. This Ecuador team wasn't hoping for upsets anymore, they were engineered to prevent them. Let's talk about what makes Ecuador's defense so terrifying, because when you look at their backline, you're looking at genuine world-class talent, starting with Willian Pacho. There's an argument, a very good argument, that Pacho is the best centre-back on the planet right now. He plays for PSG. He was the player with the most minutes under Luis Enrique last season. And in the 2025 Champions League final against Inter Milan, he was absolutely dominant. That night, Pacho became the first Ecuadorian in history to win a Champions League trophy. When you watch him play, you understand why PSG trusts him completely. His positioning is immaculate. He rarely gets caught out because he's already anticipating where the danger is coming from. Against Bayern Munich in the Champions League semi-final, Pacho put on a clinic. Harry Kane, Michael Olise, Leroy Sané, arguably the most dangerous attacking trio in football. They ran into a wall named Pacho. 6 duels contested, 6 duels won, 100% success rate. Here's a stat that should knock your socks off. Across Liga 1 and the Champions League this season, Pacho played 39 matches without receiving a single yellow card. Not one. No panic, no reckless challenges, just pure control. Against Brazil in qualifying, Pacho was named man of the match. after completely shutting down Vinicius Jr., Esteval, and Rodrigo. 92% pass completion, all 3 aerial duels won, not a foot wrong. But Pacho doesn't do this alone. Next to him is Piero Hincapié. If you follow Arsenal, you already know this guy. Hincapié joined the Gunners from Bayer Leverkusen, where he was fundamental to Xabi Alonso's unbeaten Bundesliga title. More than 100 appearances for Leverkusen, a treble winner, and now he's a cornerstone of Arsenal's pursuit of major honours. What makes Hincapié so valuable is his versatility. He can play centre-back, he can play left-back, and he's comfortable doing both at the highest level. He's aggressive, fast, and brilliant in recovery situations. Together, Pacho and Hincapié form one of the strongest centre-back pairings in international football. When both are on the pitch for Ecuador, they've kept 13 clean sheets during qualifying, 13 out of 18 matches. If defense is the foundation, then Moises Caicedo is the heartbeat. There's something poetic about Caicedo's story. He grew up in the working-class neighborhood. As a kid, he used to sell flowers in a cemetery to help his family. His first trophy was a golden plastic cup, borrowed from a neighbor for a neighborhood tournament. Now he's a Conference League winner, a Club World Cup champion, and the most expensive signing in English football history. Chelsea paid £115 million for him in 2023, and every single penny has been justified. When you watch him play, you see a player who covers every blade of grass. His reading of the game is extraordinary. He intercepts passes before they're even played, positioning himself to cut off danger before it develops. He leads the Premier League in interceptions with 59 this season. No one else even comes close. But what makes Caicedo special isn't just his defensive work, it's how he transitions the game. The moment he wins the ball, Ecuador can counter. He carries it forward, picks out the pass, and suddenly a defensive situation becomes an attacking opportunity. Against Argentina in qualifying, Caicedo completely dominated the midfield. 12 recoveries, 9 of 11 ground duels won. Every transition started through him. Messi's team couldn't figure out how to get past him. Against Colombia away, Ecuador went down to 10 men after Hincapié was sent off. Instead of collapsing, they became even stronger, and Caicedo was the reason. He covered 12.4 kilometers, the highest distance of his entire career in an official match. Ecuador won 1-0. That's what Caicedo brings. Leadership, intensity, and the ability to control matches, even when the odds are stacked against you. And he's not even 25 yet. Now, here's where things get complicated. Ecuador's defense is world-class. Their midfield is anchored by one of the best in the business. But up front, that's the question mark. In qualifying, Ecuador scored just 14 goals in 18 matches. When you're only scoring 14 goals but still finishing second, it tells you everything about how good your defense is. But it also raises concerns. Ecuador doesn't create a huge number of chances. Against teams that sit deep and defend in compact blocks, they can sometimes struggle to break things down. The creativity isn't always there. The killer instinct in front of goal isn't consistent. To solve that, they've turned to a few youngsters, one of which is Kendry Páez. Páez is only 19, but he's already being called the biggest talent Ecuador has ever produced. He's a Chelsea player, currently on loan at River Plate. FIFA included him among the 11 teenage stars to watch at their first World Cup. His technique is ridiculous. Left-footed, creative, unpredictable. He can unlock defenses with a single pass or dribble. Against deep blocks, he's exactly the kind of player Ecuador needs. Then there's 24-year-old Gonzalo Plata, who's been excellent for Flamengo. He won the Copa Libertadores, became decisive in the big matches, and transformed from an inconsistent winger into a genuine attacking threat. These kids are crucial in supporting the leader up top, Enner Valencia. Valencia is 36 now. This will be his third World Cup. He's Ecuador's captain and all-time leading scorer, with 49 goals in 105 appearances. He's not the player he once was, but his experience, his positioning, his ability to score in big moments, that doesn't go away. When it matters most, Valencia can deliver. The attacking threat is there. The question is whether Bekachese can find the right balance. Under Bekachese, Ecuador have become a disciplined side. Their system is simple yet incredibly effective. Ecuador usually line up in a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-2. The wingers drop deep to help their fullbacks. The midfield duo of Caicedo and Alan Franco shield the back four. Everything is organized narrow and designed to make opponents work for every inch. Out of possession, Ecuador doesn't leave gaps. They force teams wide, close down the central areas, and make every pass difficult. When teams try to play through them, they run into walls of bodies, and because they defend so deep, they become extremely dangerous in transition. Win the ball, break quickly, attack space immediately. This style is perfect for knockout football. Greece stunned everyone in Euro 2004. Morocco reached the semi-finals in 2022, built on the same foundation of defensive structure and moments of attacking brilliance. Ecuador might be the perfect example of that template in 2026. Ecuador have been drawn into Group E. Their opponents, Ivory Coast, Curacao, Germany. Ivory Coast won the Cup of Nations in 2024. They beat France in a recent friendly, but they lack consistency. They can beat anyone on their day and lose to anyone the next. Ecuador's first game against the Elephants will be key. Win this one and they will go into their next game against Curacao full of confidence. Curacao are making their World Cup debut. They might be small, but every nation comes with pride and determination. On paper, Germany are the favorites, but this German team doesn't feel cohesive right now. They're searching for an identity, missing the system that once made them dominant. So, 2 wins in their opening 2 matches will take them to the Germany game without pressure. If Ecuador gets out of the group, and they should, the bracket opens up. Morocco or Brazil in the round of 16, potentially England or France in the quarters. Against any of those teams, Ecuador's style works. They've already proven they can shut down elite attacks. Costa Rica made a semi-final in 2014. Croatia made the final in 2018. Morocco reached the last 4 in 2022. Why not Ecuador in 2026? Ecuador aren't here to make up the numbers, and in tournament football, where one goal can decide everything, being impossible to score against is the most dangerous weapon of all. Don't be surprised if La Tri shocks the world in 2026. How far can Ecuador go? Let us know in the comments section. And if you enjoyed this one, check out our breakdown of Japan and Norway too. And I'll see you there.